Hi, I'm Russell from Untitled Chapter. We often get, we get a lot of email inquiries about how to deal with scratches on home stone, worktops, floors, walls, things like that. So we developed a set of, we sell these set of diamond pads basically. And they come in a set, a bit like sandpaper, where you get like a coarse grit, a medium grit, a fine grit, and extra fine grit. We have 4 sets, and we've got a 50 grit, which is the green one. And then we go up to the 100, which is the black. Then we go up to the 200, which is the red, and the 400 is the yellow. Basically, what you do to get rid of a mark, let me create a mark so I can demonstrate it better. This is a rusty old Stanley knife. So I'm just going to scratch that tile there. Oops. Scratch that. Knots and crosses. Ooh, that one's quite deep. That'll be fun to get out. So I get my pads. I get a little bit of water. Okay. And we're going to get this out. It's got a bit of sealer on here as well, so we'll cut the seal out as well. So you'll have to reseal when we're finished. And what you do, you just concentrate on them score marks. You see it's gone grey? That's cutting the stone basically. This is a black slate. Now I should mention this is for honed stone, or you couldn't use it on polished stone, but you need to know what you're doing with polished stone. This is a demonstration on honed stone. It's a black honed slate. It's not for rough stone. This is rough stone. See next door we've got rough stone. No good on rough stone. This can't be polished. It can't be cut back. It's not designed to be. This is done in the factory. It's done at the quarry basically, and it's done for you. Buy it like this. Okay. So we get rid of that mark with this pad, and we go on for about, I don't know, 40 seconds, something like that. Have a look at it, see if it's all out. If it's not all out, you have to do it all again. But you can soon tell, you just clean it off. If the mark's still there, you'll see it. I think it's gone, but you can never tell when they're wet, so let's just get a heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, use a hairdryer. There we go. Now, if I'm being really fussy, I think there's a little bit there. Let's just see. I might be wrong. There's a teeny, yeah, it's just there. Look. So I'm just going to have another go. Just have another go. There we go. So like I say, this is the 50 grit. It's a green pad, green diamond blocks we call them. So we've got diamonds in there, and just cloth that again. Okay, see if that's there. That looks better now, so I'll just dry it with a heat gun. That's better. There we go. So that's got rid of the scratch mark I did on purpose. How's that? So that's gone, but now what we're left with is this grey haze, which is no good. You see there's very much finer scratch marks now. So what we've got to do, we've got to go through the set of blocks. So this time we've got the black diamond block, which is 100 grit. Dip that in water, scratch again. But this time we need to do a wider circle. We need to dovetail it out to make sure we cover all these scratch lines here. If you miss any, it'll show through when you seal it. You've got to do a wider circle this time. There we go. Right, now wipe it down again with the cloth. See what we got. It's starting to look better now, but we're not nowhere finished, about halfway finished. Got the heat gun. People always say to me, it looked good when it was wet. Never leave a job wet. Crazy. If you leave it wet, it dries. This is then what happens. Like I say, this is not finished. What we need to do now is go to the red diamond block. Dip that in water. Again, dovetail it further out. So you need to go about another ½ inch further out, basically. water. These will do a proper job. There we go. So, get my cloth on there. You notice the cloth goes a bit black. It's always the same with black stone. This is black slate. It's the oil that makes it go black. The oil gets released. So what we'd have to do after this is reseal it with a colour enhancer to restore that colour. I'll come to that a bit later. Again, it looks great right now, but it's still not finished. I'll just visualise that for you. There we go. So you can still see a little bit of very faint scratch lines. This is not finished. So we've got to do the last pad, which is the 400. So put that in there, dip that in water again. Don't need a lot of water. Oops, a bit more water on there though. That's as much as you need. And you put that on like so. If there's any seal on there, we'll cut that off quite effectively. So it will need to be resealed. Want to restore the colour, and obviously if it's in a shower cubicle, wet room, place like that, anywhere it's going to get wet, you need to use what we call an impregnating sealer, which we're going to be demonstrating soon. So again, very oily. So get rid of that oil, like a resin. It's like an oil resin basically. Must get rid of that because it impacts on the seal if we don't. It starts to show through. So we'll use that wet, and then we've got a dry cloth, just a nice dry cloth. So as you can see, the scratch mark's gone. There we go. So I've just done this half basically. Starting to dry, as you can see, just see it's starting to dry before your eyes. I haven't even got the heat gun on it, but it's starting to dry. But we'll give it a blast with the heat gun. There we go. So I'm going to demonstrate the sealing now because we may as well. There's some very, very fine scratch lines there, very, very fine. They're probably from the 400. They should disappear when we seal it. You're always going to get very, very, very fine ones, which are fine. As long as the thick one's gone, you can seal that in. Let's just demonstrate that for you though. So this is called Tile Doctor Colour Go. It's our top selling impregnating sealer. It can be used any way you want really. You can use it on rough stone if you want. You can use it on smooth home stone. You can use it inside the house, outside the house, bathrooms, wet rooms, shower rooms, anywhere you want basically. It's an impregnator. So basically what we're going to do on here, I'm going to rub it in this way. I'm not using a paint pad or a roller. I'm using it directly from the tin, as you can see, onto the actual tile surface. Don't forget your grout lines on there. Now dry it a little bit briefly with the heat gun. Normally I'd let it dry if you're in a normal situation. If you don't have our tools, you'd let it dry several hours before you put the sealer on. But as we've got a heat gun, it can speed up the sealing process dramatically. There we go. So that's that coat. Now what we need to do, just to show it's a proper job, we need to polish off the excess sealer with a nice clean cloth this time. No sealer on this one. It's a nice clean cloth. Just to show you all the marks have gone. And you'd never leave a sealer, an impregnated sealer, you'd never leave it wet. You always leave it touch dry. Never leave it wet. Because if you leave it touch dry, that'll be exactly how it looks from then on. If you leave it wet and you haven't polished anything off, you can have little drip marks and things like that. It looks, when it dries properly, it can look a bit odd, a bit streaky. So I always dry it like this. There you go. If you can just pan in there, cameraman, and just have a look at the, have a good look at the tile. See what you think. Perfect. So, another job from Tile Doctor.